Hey there, good morning everyone. Tuesday the 16th of May 2023. This morning's devotional is a reading from Nehemiah chapter 1, reading verses 8 and 9, and they read, "Remember the instruction you gave your servant Moses, saying, If you are unfaithful, I will scatter you among the nations. But if you return to me and obey my commands, then even if your people are exiled to the furthest horizon, I will gather them from there and bring them to the place I've chosen as a dwelling for my name." Prayer. We've all tried various forms of prayer, meditations, chants, and all this kind of stuff. And there are many books on the market about prayer. But what many of us seem to forget is that prayer is your communication with God. When you pray, it turns your attention towards God and helps you to see that He is bigger and more powerful than any of your concerns. And as God answers your prayers, your faith deepens. So today, I would like to talk about 4 ways to pray effectively based on the life of Nehemiah. So number 1, base your request on God's character. Pray like you know God will answer you. You can say something like, "God, I'm expecting you to answer this prayer because of who you are. You are a faithful God. You are a great God. You are a loving God. You are a wonderful God, and you can deal with this problem." Number 2, confess the sins that you are aware of. That's what Nehemiah did. In verses 6 and 7 of chapter 1, he said, "I confess that we have sinned against you. Yes, even my own family and I have sinned. We have sinned terribly by not obeying the commands, decrees, and regulations that you gave us." It wasn't even Nehemiah's fault that Israel went into exile and captivity. He wasn't even born when it happened. He was probably born during captivity. Yet he included himself in the sins of his people when he said, "I have been part of the problem." And there is another problem therein, because many of us refuse to accept responsibility or accountability for being part of the problem. Number 3, remember the promises of God. Nehemiah prayed to the Lord, saying, "Please remember what you told your servant Moses." We find that in verse 8. Can you imagine saying "remember" to God? Nehemiah reminded God of a promise he made to the nation of Israel. In effect, Nehemiah prayed, "God, you warned through Moses that if we were unfaithful, we would lose the land of Israel. But you also promised that if we repent, you'd give it back to us." Does God have to be reminded? I don't think he has to be reminded. Does he forget what is promised? I very seriously doubt that he's forgotten what is promised. Then why should you remember his promises when you pray? Well, it's quite easy, because it helps you to remember what God has promised. Number 4, be specific in what you ask for. If you want specific answers to prayer, make specific requests. If your prayer consists of general requests, how will you know if they are answered? When you pray, you are submitting yourself to God's sovereignty, acknowledging that He is active in all the details of your life and is able to provide for your every need. But prayer also brings you into alignment with God's will, helping you understand how and why He answered the way He did. My dear friends, God does hear and answer prayers. Be faithful in obeying His instructions. May the Lord be with you. May He bless you. May He cause His face to shine upon you and be with you always. Goodbye.